Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pondering God. My name is Rambe Jr., and today's episode is titled The End Times. I've noticed there's a huge fascination by many people about the end times, or Armageddon, or the apocalypse. There's movies been made and about those times, and people have a fascination of when that's going to happen. Um, and there's been many people over the years that have made predictions on in terms of a date, and they're always wrong, uh, unless I missed the end times and it's already happened. But uh, why is there that fascination about the end times? And I think Jesus had some answers for us in Matthew chapter 24. And it's interesting that not only are we fascinated about that, and I'll get to the why we are in a little bit here, but not only are we fascinated about the end times, but Jesus' own disciples asked him. And he had some interesting things to say about those end times. So, first, I want to read from Matthew chapter 24, that particular encounter that Jesus had with his disciples, and the question they asked and the answers that he gave them. And then we're going to jump ahead to some other things about those times. So, first, I'll read from Matthew chapter 24. Jesus came out from the temple and was going away when his disciples came up to point out the temple buildings to him. And he answered and said, "Do you not see all these things? Truly I say to you, not one stone here shall be left upon another, which will not be torn down." As he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" The consummation of the age. They wanted to know when this is going to happen. And it's much like us. We're not only just curious, but we're fascinated. There's a promise that it's going to happen, but when? We want to know when. We want to know how to plan for this. And the disciples, tell us. We're your inner circle here. You can tell us, and Jesus will give this answer in a little bit about who actually knows. But here's what his answer to them initially was. Jesus answered and said to them, "See to it that no one misleads you, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am the Christ,' and will mislead many. And you'll be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened, for those things must take place, but that is not yet the end. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and in various places there will be famines and earthquakes. But all these things are merely the beginning of birth pangs." So we look for signs similar to the idea, and you've heard this analogy or this saying many times: the red sky at night, sailor's delight; red sky in the morning, sailor take warning. We know how to look at the signs and see what's going to happen. So Jesus is telling us, here's some things to look for. These are the beginning of the birth pangs. So earthquakes and famine. Wait a minute, we just had an earthquake, huge earthquake over near Russia that was supposed to cause a great tsunami, but I haven't read anything about the tsunami at this point. And these things have happened, and wars and rumors of wars have happened for centuries. These are not new things. So let's keep reading here. We'll see what else Jesus is saying is going to happen. "They will deliver you to tribulation and will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations on account of my name." That happens, and that has been happening for quite some time. "And at that time, many will fall away and will deliver up one another and hate one another. And many false prophets will arise and will mislead many." And here's a verse that I want you to consider, because this is new. We've seen rumors of wars and kingdom against kingdom and nation against nation and famines and earthquakes. These are all things that were recognizable. We've seen them before. We've seen them for centuries. So this particular verse, verse 12 of chapter 24, Jesus gives us a new thing. "And because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold." Do you see that happening today? More so than I've ever seen it before. Whether it's my experience is driving down the street at the speed limit and having someone behind me raising their fist at me and cursing at me and flipping me the bird as they drive around me in a hurried manner, shaking their fist in my face. Or my neighbors yelling and screaming at each other out their open windows in the morning, dropping F-bombs right and left, or the other neighbor's children cursing their mother and disrespecting her, and many other instances like this that I've encountered in public. And on top of that, if you don't believe my experiences are uh, systemic, that my experiences are common, go take a look at social media anywhere, on X, on Facebook, on TikTok. Tell me that you don't see hate versus love. There's not a lot of love going around out here in this world today. So if that's another sign of the end times, then I would say that on top of the earthquakes and famines and wars and rumors of wars, that this is an indication that we are actually living in the end times. So when that's going to happen, though, when the end's going to happen, when Jesus is going to return, it's a different story. So let me read further. But the one who endures to the end, he shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world for a witness to all the nations, and then the end shall come. So let me fast forward here. He goes over and talks about several other types of signs to be looking for and things that were going to happen before he returns. And he says this, it's very fascinating to me because I'm sure the disciples were hanging on every word and they wanted to know, what's the answer? When is this going to happen? Here's what Jesus said. But of that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father alone. So even Jesus himself doesn't know when he's going to return. Only the Father in heaven knows. And this is this will tell you that anyone you hear that predicts an end time, don't believe them because they don't know. The only one who knows when the end times will come is the Father alone. Not even his Son knows. So what does that tell us? What should we do? We know we're in the end times, especially this last little tidbit about their love will grow cold and lawlessness will increase. And I see it everywhere around me. People blowing through stop signs, don't drive the speed limit, cut people off in traffic. I mean, that's just in my car alone. I mean, there's other things people do that are lawless, and you see it all around you on the news, and you really can't miss it. So here's what he says additionally to the Father only knows. So here's what he says. For the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah. For as in those days, which were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, they were marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered the ark, and they did not understand until the flood came and took them all away. So shall the coming of the Son of Man be. So why do people want to know? Let's say that you are a teenager and you're having a party at your mom and dad's house because they went out for an evening together with some friends. What is it you want to know? You want to know when they're coming home. Why? You don't want to get caught doing things that you shouldn't be doing. You want to have a chance to clean up and hide all the evidence of what you've been doing from your mom and dad. And that's the same as this. Jesus likens it to a thief breaking in your house in the middle of the night. You kind of want to know, if you had known what time of the night the thief was coming, you would have made some arrangements. You would have been on the alert. You would have been prepared. And that's his answer to all of us. We don't know when he's coming. It could be right this very moment. It could be tomorrow. It could be a year from now, 10 years, 100 years. We don't have any clue. So what does that mean? We should be ready. And he says, it's not me saying that. That's Jesus saying that. Be ready. In fact, he says, therefore, be on the alert, for you do not know which day your Lord is coming. But be sure of this, that if the head of the house had known at what time of the night the thief was coming, he would have been on the alert and would not have allowed his house to be broken into. For this reason, you be ready too, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not think he will. So what does that mean to me? So I don't really care about the end times. I mean, I don't get hung up on the end times. I don't look for predictions of when that time will be. It doesn't matter to me. If I'm dead and Jesus returns, so be it. If I'm alive and he returns, so be it. I have lived with an attitude that I'm ready for him to come today. In fact, I'm longing for his return. I want him to come. I'm not going to hide something when he does come because I'm ready for him to come now. If he comes now, I want him to come. And I think that's the attitude we all should have. But unfortunately, uh, just like in the days of Noah, people will be going about their business, eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage, and they won't be ready and they won't understand, just like when the flood came. Jesus says, so shall the coming of man be. So my encouragement to you is don't get hung up on the end times, but be ready. He says to be ready right now. Be ready because you don't know when it's going to be. Just like be ready for your death because you don't know when that's going to be either. So live your life in a way that you won't be ashamed or embarrassed when the Son of Man returns, because he is coming and we just don't know when. Only the Father in heaven knows. So thank you guys for listening to me again, and I look forward to next time on Pondering God.